The signal. Dr. Maya Zhang stood motionless in the depths of the Martian excavation site, her breath catching in her throat as the quantum scanner's readings flickered across her neural interface. After 3 decades of searching, they'd finally found it, proof that would shatter humanity's understanding of its own history. The artifact before her pulsed with a faint blue glow, its crystalline surface unmarred despite being buried for 500,000 years. It wasn't just technology. It was a message, left behind by ancient humans who knew their descendants would eventually return to find it. Director Patel needs to see this immediately, she subvocalized to her team, the words transmitted instantly through their shared quantum network. The excavation site, 2 kilometers beneath the Martian surface, had already yielded countless discoveries, but nothing like this. Above her, through layers of red Martian rock, the massive colony of New Damascus sprawled across Valles Marineris, home to 20 million humans. Humanity had spread across dozens of star systems now, their civilization flourishing after what they'd always believed was a necessary exodus from Earth due to environmental collapse. But the truth encoded in the crystal before her told a very different story. The quantum transport pod arrived within minutes, whisking Maya and the artifact to New Damascus's central research complex. Director Patel was already waiting in the secure analysis chamber, his dark eyes intense as Maya carefully placed the crystal on the scanning platform. "Show me," he said simply. Maya initiated the quantum interface, and the chamber filled with holographic data streams. But unlike the usual scientific or historical data they discovered, this was something else entirely. A message, encoded in crystalline quantum states that had maintained perfect coherence for 500 millennia. The message began to play, and both scientists fell silent as the truth of humanity's exodus was finally revealed. A figure materialized, a woman in ancient military uniform, her bearing proud despite the obvious strain in her expression. "To our descendants," she began, "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. What I'm about to tell you has been hidden from our people, but you deserve to know the truth of why we left Earth." The hologram flickered as she continued. "They called themselves the Arbiters. They arrived in our solar system claiming to be guardians of galactic order, evaluating civilizations for membership in their grand alliance. But it was all a lie." Maya and Director Patel watched transfixed as Admiral Chen detailed how the Arbiters had actually been containing and redirecting civilizations they deemed potentially threatening, forcing them to abandon their homeworlds through manufactured crises and carefully orchestrated evacuations. Earth wasn't dying. The ancient Admiral revealed. The environmental collapse was engineered. The Arbiters had done this dozens of times before to other species, spreading them thin across the galaxy where they could be more easily controlled. But they underestimated humanity. The hologram showed flashes of battles in space, of desperate last stands, and secret preparations. We couldn't fight them openly. Their technology was too advanced. But we could prepare for the future. Across the solar system, we left behind dormant technologies and hidden facilities. Tools and weapons that would only awaken for our children's touch when they were ready to return. Maya's hands trembled as the message continued, detailing the locations of other hidden facilities and the true capabilities of the technology they'd been discovering. The Arbiters hadn't just forced humanity to leave. They'd deliberately scattered them across thousands of worlds, thinking distance and time would dilute their strength. But we knew better, Admiral Chen's hologram stated firmly. We knew that adversity would make us stronger. That separation would force us to adapt and evolve in ways the Arbiters couldn't predict. And most importantly, we knew that one day our children would return. The message ended with a series of complex technical specifications, blueprints for technologies far beyond anything humanity currently possessed. But more importantly, it ended with coordinates. The locations of every facility and cache of advanced technology their ancestors had hidden away. Director Patel broke the long silence that followed. "How many other sites have we found?" 17 so far, Maya answered, her mind racing through the implications, all dormant until now. But sir, according to these readings, there are hundreds more, and not just on Mars. They're everywhere. Mercury, Venus, the Moon, the asteroid belt, even beneath Earth's oceans. And the arbiters, still there, still watching Earth, according to our long-range scans. They've maintained their presence for 500,000 years, disguised as a natural phenomenon in Earth orbit. They never left because they never thought we'd return. Director Patel's expression hardened. Contact the Colonial Defense Fleet and get me a direct link to the Convergence Council. All of them. Maya nodded, already understanding. The Convergence Council represented every major human civilization that had developed across their diaspora. Nearly 1,000 distinct societies, each adapted to their new worlds in unique ways. Some had developed biological innovations, others had merged with their technology, and still others had evolved abilities that their ancestors would have considered impossible. The Council needs to know, Patel continued, that everything we believed about our history was wrong. And they need to know that our ancestors left us the tools to do something about it. As Maya worked, her neural interface connecting with communication networks spanning dozens of light years, she felt a profound shift in the air, the weight of history pivoting on this moment. Humanity had spent 500,000 years adapting, evolving, and growing stronger across the stars. Now they had finally discovered why. The signal had been waiting for them all along, hidden beneath the red sands of Mars. Their ancestors had turned humanity's exile into an opportunity, knowing that when their descendants finally returned, they would be ready to face the arbiters not as the same civilization that had been forced to flee, but as something entirely new. And as the message spread across human space, as the quantum networks carried the truth to every colony and settlement, the first phase of humanity's longest-running plan finally began. The children of Earth were coming home, and they were nothing like what the arbiters had expected them to become. Maya looked up at the hologram of Admiral Chen one last time before it faded. In the ancient woman's eyes, she saw not defeat, but certainty, the unshakable confidence that her descendants would understand the message and would know exactly what to do with it. The long exile was over. The time for return had begun. Evolution's children. The Great Hall of the Convergence Council had never hosted all 1,000 representatives simultaneously before. They came in every form humanity had evolved into over 500,000 years, some nearly unrecognizable to their ancient ancestors. Ambassador Kira Sen of the Europan depths floated in her containment sphere of pressurized liquid, her translucent skin allowing glimpses of her enhanced cardiovascular system. Beside her, Council Chairman Marcus Webb's crystalline neural pathways glowed beneath his skin, a testament to the silicon-based evolutionary path his people had taken on the desert world of Kepler 186. They were just two examples of how humanity had adapted. In their exile across the stars, humanity hadn't just survived. They had transformed themselves to thrive in every environment they encountered. The quantum projection of Dr. Maya Zhang's discovery played again in the center of the hall, Admiral Chen's ancient message echoing across half a millennium. When it finished, the chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices, both verbal and digital. Order. Chairman Webb's voice resonated through both air and neural networks. We've confirmed the authenticity of this message through quantum verification. The question now is, what do we do with this knowledge? Ambassador Yara Novak of the Stellar Ascendancy rose, her form shifting between solid and energy state, her people's adaptation to life in the corona of their star. We do exactly what our ancestors planned for. We return. It's not that simple, countered Representative Chen of the Mars Coalition. The Arbiter's technology was far beyond ours even then. What chance do we have now? A low chuckle echoed through the chamber. All eyes turned to Elder Thousand Songs, the massive, cybernetically enhanced representative of the deep space nomads. His people had adapted to permanent life in the void between stars, their bodies and ships becoming one entity. You're thinking about this wrong. Thousand Songs rumbled. The arbiters forced a single human civilization to flee, but we're not a single civilization anymore. He gestured with one massive mechanical arm, causing holographic displays to spring to life around the chamber. They showed the vast diversity of human adaptation and advancement. The quantum phase warriors of Proxima Centauri, the bioengineered ecosystem shapers of the Trappist worlds, the digital consciousness collectives of the Sirius cluster. Look at what we've become, he continued. The gravity wielders of Newton's cradle, who can shape gravitational fields with their minds. The quantum dancers of the Heisenberg worlds, who exist in multiple states simultaneously. The stellar engineers of Alpha Centauri, who built a Dyson swarm with their bare hands. Ambassador Sen's voice rippled through her containment sphere. The arbiters wanted to weaken us by spreading us thin. Instead, they forced us to adapt and evolve in ways they couldn't imagine. Each new world, each new challenge, made us stronger. And now we can combine our strengths, added Novak, her energy form pulsing with excitement. Every adaptation, every innovation, every evolutionary path we've taken, they all come together now. The chamber hummed with increasing energy as the representatives began to grasp the full implications. Humanity hadn't just evolved. They had diversified into 1,000 different solutions to the challenge of survival. And now, they could share those solutions. Chairman Webb raised his hand, neural pathways glowing brighter. The Martian discovery included coordinates for hundreds of hidden facilities across the solar system. Technologies our ancestors left behind, waiting for us to return. But I believe our greatest weapon isn't their technology. It's what we've become in their absence. He turned to Dr. Zhang, who had been quietly observing. Doctor, according to your analysis, how long would it take to adapt these ancestral technologies to work with our evolved forms? Maya's neural interface flickered as she processed the calculations. The systems were designed to recognize and adapt to human genetic markers, no matter how they might change. They're already responding to our probes, with our current capabilities. She paused, double-checking her numbers. We could have full integration within 6 months. The chamber erupted in excited discussion again, both verbal and digital. Plans were already being formed, resources allocated, fleets mobilized. Humanity's 1,000 faces were turning back toward their ancestral home. There's something else, Maya added, her voice cutting through the chaos. The quantum signatures we're detecting from these facilities, they're not just compatible with our evolved abilities. They're designed to enhance them. Our ancestors didn't just leave us weapons. They left us amplifiers. The implication sent a fresh wave of excitement through the chamber. The gravity wielder's powers enhanced by ancient quantum technology. The stellar engineer's skills amplified by lost sciences. The quantum dancer's abilities merged with their ancestors' hidden machines. Chairman Webb called for attention once more. 500,000 years ago, the arbiters forced humanity to flee into the stars. They thought distance and time would dilute us, weaken us, make us easier to control. Instead, we've become something they couldn't possibly have predicted. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes, sensors, and energy patterns of humanity's diverse children. Our ancestors knew this would happen. They knew that forcing us to adapt to 1,000 different worlds would create strengths the arbiters couldn't imagine. And they left us the tools to bring those strengths back home. The vote, when it came, was unanimous. For the first time in 500,000 years, all of humanity's scattered children would come together. They would reclaim their ancestral home not as the single civilization that had been forced to flee, but as 1,000 different expressions of human potential. The arbiters had created their own worst nightmare, a humanity that had evolved far beyond their calculations, and now, that humanity was coming home. As the council chamber emptied, Maya found herself standing next to Ambassador Sen's containment sphere. The liquid-adapted diplomat's voice rippled through the water. You know what the most interesting part is, Doctor? The arbiters have been watching Earth all this time, thinking they're watching for the return of the humans they exiled. Maya nodded, understanding. But those humans don't exist anymore. We're something entirely new. Exactly. Sen's form rippled with what might have been a smile. They've spent 500,000 years preparing for the wrong enemy. The return. The fleet that assembled at the edge of the solar system defied conventional description. 10,000 ships, each reflecting the unique evolution of its creators. The crystalline vessels of the Kepler worlds pulsed with neural energy. Living ships grown by the Trappist bioengineers twisted through space like vast sea creatures. The quantum phase ships of Proxima Centauri flickered between dimensions, while the stellar forges of Alpha Centauri's engineers dwarfed everything around them. On the bridge of the flagship Genesis, Admiral Sarah Chen, named after her ancient ancestor, watched the assembled fleet through multiple spectrums of reality. Her neural interfaces parsed data streams from 1,000 different sources, building a complete picture of humanity's returning armada. "Status report," she commanded, her voice carrying through both traditional and quantum channels. "The arbiters still haven't detected us," reported Commander Yuki Tanaka, her form shifting between solid and energy state as she monitored the quantum sensors. Their observation platforms around Earth remain focused on conventional spacetime. "Of course they do," rumbled Director Thousand Songs from his integration chamber. The massive cyborg's consciousness was spread throughout the ship's systems. "They're still watching for the humans they exiled, not what we've become." Admiral Chen nodded, neural pathways glowing beneath her skin. The plan was already in motion. While the main fleet held position at the system's edge, advanced teams had slipped past the Arbiter's sensor networks, making their way to the coordinates of humanity's hidden facilities. "Signal from the Mercury team," Tanaka announced. "They've reached the Solar Forge facility. Quantum signatures match the Martian archives perfectly. It's beginning to respond to their presence." Similar reports began flowing in from across the solar system. On Venus, gravity wielders were awakening ancient atmospheric processors. Throughout the asteroid belt, quantum dancers were interfacing with forgotten weapons platforms. Beneath Europa's ice, water-adapted humans were activating structures that had waited patiently in the deep. "The Arbiters are still maintaining their cover story," reported Dr. Maya Zhang from her research station. After her discovery on Mars, she'd become the fleet's foremost expert on the ancient facilities. "Their platforms continue to masquerade as natural phenomena in Earth orbit. They have no idea we've already compromised their sensor network." That had been their first victory. The quantum dancers, able to exist in multiple states simultaneously, had slipped through the Arbiter's defenses like ghosts, planting sophisticated countermeasures throughout their surveillance system. As far as the Arbiters knew, the solar system was exactly as they'd left it for the past 500,000 years. "Signal from Jupiter Station." Tanaka's energy form pulsed with excitement. "The gravity drive is powering up, ready to initiate Phase 2. Admiral Chen took a moment to appreciate the elegance of their ancestors' plan. The hidden facilities weren't just weapons or tools. They were pieces of a vast machine that encompassed the entire solar system. Each activation brought them closer to completing a circuit 500 millennia in the making. "Execute Phase 2, she commanded. Across the solar system, humanity's children began their work in earnest. The stellar engineers of Alpha Centauri interfaced with the Mercury Forge, using their evolved abilities amplified by ancient technology to harness the sun's power in ways the Arbiters had never imagined possible. The gravity wielders of Newton's cradle, their natural abilities enhanced by Venus's recovered technologies, began weaving a complex web of gravitational fields throughout the inner system. The quantum dancers, synchronized with their ancestors' weapons platforms, prepared to turn the asteroid belt itself into a battlefield unlike any in history. "Multiple quantum signatures detecting from Earth," Tanaka reported suddenly. "The Arbiters are moving." The massive structures in Earth orbit, long disguised as natural satellites, began to shift and change. Their true forms emerged, vast ships and stations of impossibly advanced design. A transmission burst across all known frequencies. "Attention unknown vessels." The Arbiter's message was cold, precise. "You have entered a quarantine system. Your presence here violates multiple protocols. Identify yourselves immediately." Admiral Chen smiled, an expression mirrored in 1,000 different ways across the fleet. Crystalline beings glowed brighter, energy forms pulsed, neural pathways flickered with anticipation. The moment they had prepared for across 500 millennia had finally arrived. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Human Fleet," she responded, her voice carrying the weight of 500,000 years of preparation. "We are the children of Earth, and we have returned home." The response was immediate. The Arbiter stations began powering up weapon systems that could have annihilated the entire human race 500,000 years ago. But humanity wasn't the same civilization they had forced into exile. "Now," Chen commanded. Across the solar system, humanity's children revealed themselves. The quantum dancers phased their ships into reality, surrounding the Arbiter stations in formations that ignored conventional space. The stellar engineers activated the Mercury Forge, sending controlled solar flares arcing through space. The gravity wielders bent space itself, creating corridors of altered physics that none of their ancestors could have imagined. "Impossible," came the Arbiter's response. The humans were scattered, divided, weakened. "The humans you knew were scattered," Chen agreed, as the fleet began its advance. "But we're not those humans anymore. You forced us to adapt to 1,000 different worlds, thinking it would dilute us. Instead, it made us into something new, something stronger." The first shots were fired. Energy weapons that could shatter planets' meeting shields generated by human minds evolved to exist in quantum superposition. Gravity weapons that could crack continents encountering fields woven by humans who had learned to shape space itself. The battle for Earth was beginning, and humanity's children were finally ready to show their ancient oppressors exactly what they had become. Hidden legacy. Deep beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, Dr. Maya Zhang stood in a chamber that had waited 500 millennia for her arrival. Around her, the ancient facility hummed with growing power as it recognized the quantum signatures of humanity's evolved DNA. What had appeared to be simple geometric patterns on the walls began to shift and flow, responding to the neural interfaces beneath her skin. "The activation sequence is spreading," she reported through the quantum network. Above, the battle for Earth's orbit raged between humanity's returning fleet and the Arbiter stations. "The entire facility is coming online. And it's not just this one. I'm detecting similar activations across all oceanic sites." Through her neural link, she could sense the other teams making similar discoveries. The gravity wielders had found temples of forgotten physics in the Himalayas. The quantum dancers were awakening probability engines hidden in the Amazon. The stellar engineers had discovered solar matrices buried beneath the Sahara. "They're all connected," she realized, watching the patterns of energy flow between sites. "Our ancestors didn't just leave us individual facilities. They built an entire planetary network." In orbit, Admiral Chen received Maya's report while orchestrating the fleet's defense against another Arbiter assault. The enemy's weapons were devastating, capable of erasing entire ships from existence. But humanity's evolved defenses were holding. Quantum-phased shields, gravity-warped space, and biological adaptations working in concert to protect the fleet. "Dr. Zhang," Chen responded, neural pathways pulsing with battle data. "What exactly are we activating down there?" Before Maya could answer, the chamber around her transformed. The geometric patterns resolved into complex mathematical equations that stretched through dimensions her evolved mind could barely comprehend. But she understood enough. "It's a key," she breathed. "No, it's a key. Admiral, our ancestors didn't just leave us weapons or tools. They left us the fundamental mathematics behind the Arbiter's technology." Through her neural interface, Maya shared what she was seeing. The patterns weren't just decorative. They were engineering schematics, scientific formulas, and technological blueprints, all encoded into the very structure of the facility. And they described technologies far beyond what the Arbiters had shown. "They reverse-engineered everything," she explained, her excitement building. "During the Exodus, while the Arbiters thought they were shepherding helpless refugees, Our ancestors were secretly studying them, learning their secrets, and they left it all here for us to find. In orbit, the Arbiters launched another assault, but something was changing. The quantum dancers, interfacing with the probability engines, began predicting the enemy's moves before they made them. The gravity wielders, empowered by the Himalayan temples, started bending space in ways that even the Arbiters couldn't navigate. Your resistance is futile. The Arbiter's transmission carried notes of genuine confusion now. Our technology is beyond your comprehension, beyond your capability. Admiral Chen allowed herself a smile as she received another update from the surface. The stellar engineers had fully activated the Saharan solar matrices, linking them to the Mercury Forge. New energy patterns were emerging throughout the solar system. "You're wrong," she replied. "We don't just comprehend your technology. We've surpassed it." Deep beneath the Pacific, Maya watched in awe as the facility's true purpose became clear. The patterns weren't just information. They were interfaces designed to connect with humanity's evolved abilities. Each adaptation their species had developed over 500 millennia could tap into and enhance the ancient systems in unique ways. "Admiral," she reported, "the network is approaching full activation. Energy readings are off any scale we've ever encountered. Whatever our ancestors built here, it's beyond anything the Arbiters have shown us." Throughout Earth's orbit, the battle's tide was turning. The quantum dancers, their natural ability to exist in multiple states now amplified by the probability engines, began splitting reality itself around the Arbiter stations. The gravity wielders, powered by both their evolved abilities and the Himalayan temples, created spatial distortions that the enemy's weapons couldn't penetrate. But it was the next discovery that changed everything. "Admiral," Maya's voice carried a note of astonishment. "I found records of what they were really building. The facilities, the networks, the mathematical keys, they're all components of something bigger, something our ancestors could never have built themselves, but knew their evolved descendants might achieve." The patterns around her shifted again, revealing the final piece of their ancestors' plan. It wasn't just about fighting the Arbiters with their own technology. It was about transcending it completely. "The entire solar system," she whispered. They turned the entire solar system into a machine, one that could only be operated by what humanity would become after 500,000 years of evolution. "We're not just fighting for Earth, Admiral. We're about to fundamentally change the rules of reality itself." Above, the Arbiter stations began to detect the energy readings from the surface. For the first time in the battle, their response carried something new in their transmission. "Fear. Stop," the Arbiters commanded. "You don't understand what you're activating. The energies you're wielding could destroy everything." "No," Admiral Chen replied, as reports of more activations flooded in from across the solar system. "We understand perfectly. Our ancestors spent years studying you, learning your secrets, and planning for this moment. But they knew they couldn't build what was needed. Not then. They knew it would take 500,000 years of evolution, 1,000 different adaptations, before humanity could fully grasp and control this power." She paused, watching as the energy patterns Maya had discovered began spreading through space itself, linking every facility, every hidden cache, every piece of the vast machine their ancestors had scattered across the solar system. "You thought you were containing a threat," she continued. "Instead, you gave us exactly what we needed to become something more. And now, after 500 millennia of preparation, we're ready to show you exactly what humanity has become." The solar system itself began to pulse with new energy as humanity's greatest inheritance finally awakened. The true battle was about to begin. Inheritance. The solar system blazed with energies that defied conventional physics. Every hidden facility, every ancient cache, every piece of the vast machine humanity's ancestors had built was now fully active. The network they had scattered across the planets and moons pulsed in perfect synchronization with their evolved descendants' abilities. In Earth orbit, Admiral Sarah Chen watched as reality itself began to shift. The quantum dancers' natural ability to exist in multiple states, amplified by their ancestors' probability engines, had transformed the space around Earth into a kaleidoscope of intersecting timelines. The gravity wielders, their powers enhanced by recovered technologies, wove space itself into new configurations. Final warning: the Arbiter's transmission carried genuine alarm now. The energies you're wielding will destroy this entire system. You don't understand the forces you're playing with. Through her neural interface, Chen received another update from Dr. Maya Zhang on the surface. The ancient facilities weren't just activating. They were transforming, responding to 500,000 years of human evolution in ways their ancestors had only theorized possible. "You're wrong," Chen responded to the Arbiters. "We understand exactly what we're doing. Our ancestors spent years studying your technology, learning your secrets. But they knew they couldn't use that knowledge. Not then. They needed us to evolve first, to become something more." Deep beneath the Pacific, Maya watched in awe as the facility's patterns resolved into their final configuration. The mathematical equations that described the very fabric of reality weren't just formulas anymore. They were becoming something else. Something new. "Admiral," she reported, her voice filled with wonder. "I understand now. The Arbiter's technology, all their advanced science, it was never about physical engineering. It was about consciousness, about perception and reality being intertwined at the quantum level." Above, the battle had reached a stalemate. The Arbiter's weapons, capable of erasing matter from existence, met shields generated by human minds that existed in quantum superposition. Their reality-warping technologies clashed with spaces shaped by humans who had evolved to manipulate gravity itself. "Our ancestors knew," Maya continued, watching as the patterns around her shifted into their final form. "They knew that to truly master this level of technology, a species needed to evolve beyond purely physical existence. The Arbiters had done it artificially, using their technology to force their consciousness to transcend normal space-time." "And us?" Chen asked, already suspecting the answer. "We did it naturally. 500,000 years of evolution on 1,000 different worlds. Every adaptation, every change, every new form we took, we were unconsciously moving toward this point. The ability to perceive and interact with reality at its most fundamental level." The Arbiters launched another assault, their weapons tearing holes in space-time itself. But humanity's children were ready. The quantum dancers phased their ships through dimensional boundaries the Arbiters thought impossible to breach. The stellar engineers channeled solar energy in ways that bent light itself around their vessels. And then everything changed. The vast machine humanity's ancestors had built, hidden in pieces across the solar system, finally achieved full synchronization. But it wasn't a weapon, as the Arbiters had feared. It was something far more profound. "It's a bridge," Maya whispered, watching as new patterns of energy emerged throughout the system. "A bridge between what we were and what we can become." The energy patterns touched every human ship, every evolved form, every adapted consciousness. The quantum dancer's ability to exist in multiple states expanded exponentially. The gravity wielder's understanding of space-time deepened beyond theoretical limits. The stellar engineer's grasp of energy and matter transcended physical bounds. In an instant, humanity's 500,000 years of evolution merged with their ancestors' hidden legacy. The result was something neither the past nor present had imagined possible. What are you?" The Arbiter's transmission carried something new now: recognition. Admiral Chen felt the change rippling through her consciousness, through every human in the system. Their evolved abilities weren't just being amplified. They were being transformed into something entirely new, a way of existing that bridged the gap between physical reality and pure consciousness. "We are what you feared we might become," she replied, but her voice carried no malice. "What our ancestors hoped we would achieve. We're humanity transcended, but not through artificial means like yours, through natural evolution, guided by the challenges you forced us to face." The energy patterns stabilized, and with them, A new understanding bloomed across human consciousness. They could see the arbiters now, truly see them, for what they were, a species that had achieved transcendence too early, too artificially, a species that had become afraid of any others who might follow their path. You don't have to fear us, Chen continued as humanity's new consciousness reached out to touch the arbiter's own. We're not here for revenge. We're here to show you another way. The battle ended not with destruction, but with recognition. The arbiters, faced with a form of transcendence they had never imagined possible, finally understood. Humanity hadn't just survived their exile. They had used it to become something greater than either species had dreamed possible. In the depths of the Pacific facility, Maya watched as the final patterns shifted into place. The message left by their ancestors 500,000 years ago took on new meaning now. They hadn't just left behind technology or weapons. They had left a path to transformation, knowing that only through facing the challenges of exile, only through evolving and adapting across 1,000 worlds, would humanity be ready to walk it. The solar system pulsed with new energy as humanity's children, transformed by the merger of evolution and ancient legacy, began to explore their new existence. And the arbiters, after 500,000 years of watching Earth's skies, finally learned what their actions had truly created, not an enemy to be feared, but a future they had never imagined possible. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter as humanity's greatest inheritance was finally claimed, not just the return to Earth, but the transformation into something that transcended the very boundaries of space, time, and consciousness itself. The children of Earth had come home, and in doing so, had become something entirely new.